Coming up on today's show, we're going to break down the Falcons' latest signing right as they open up training camp, get you guys familiar with the newest member of the offensive line, Julian Davenport. Now, before we get to all that good stuff, make sure to subscribe to the channel. This is why you subscribe. No matter how big or small of a signing the Falcons make, we're going to make sure you guys are in the know. So join one of the largest Falcons YouTube communities out there, if not the largest, and make sure you never miss a single piece of Falcons news or rumors. Now, some background on Julian Davenport. There's not a ton out there, but I want to share what we do know. So he was a fourth-round draft pick in 2017 by the Houston Texans out of Bucknell. So a Patriot League draftee, you don't get those very often. In his career, 60 games played, 32 starts. The only season he was a true starter that I could find was 2018, his second year with the Houston Texans. Started 15 games out of 16 appearances. Then in 2019, he goes to the Miami Dolphins. He starts 8 games for them and 8 games played. I believe an injury cut his 2019 season short. He plays one more year in Miami, but only starts one more game in 2020. Then he goes to the Indianapolis Colts in 2021. That was the last time we would see Davenport play in the National Football League. He appeared in 9 games, made 4 starts. When I saw he last played for Indy, I texted my cousin, who's a Colts fan, and said, "Hey, what do you know about Julian Davenport?" His response, 3 laughing emojis. So not a ton of confidence. Evidently, it wasn't the smoothest sailing for Davenport when he made some appearances and starts back in 2021. Since then, he's kind of bounced around a couple of practice squads and a little bit of some spring football leagues. But here's what the offensive line looks like with Davenport getting added to it. He's going to compete with Storm Norton and Tyler Vrabel for one of the swing tackle jobs. Remember, they also added Andrew Stuber, who was on the Patriots and then released and then claimed by the Falcons off of the waiver wire. So when I saw this signing, the first thing that popped in my head was, I wonder if there's going to be some news dumps of offensive tackle injuries soon for the Falcons. Because it didn't really seem like a position of need, especially because they've made some signings to it already in the offseason, and they brought back guys like your incumbents, Jake Matthews and Caleb McGarry, but also the Falcons were very upbeat about Storm Norton and Tyler Vrabel competing for their swing tackle jobs. I mean, it felt like they were kind of penciled into those positions. So I don't know if we're going to find out that as training camp arrived, one of those offensive tackles revealed, hey, I got dinged up in the offseason training. So the Falcons decide, all right, well, we want to have 90 guys on our roster. Let's bring in someone else. Or if the Falcons are truly just pursuing some more competition at the offensive tackle position. But that was my initial reaction was, I don't think this is an offensive tackle signing where the Falcons are looking at it like, how is Julian Davenport still a free agent? Oh my God, we got to sign him. I'm wondering if in the next 24 hours we're going to get some unfortunate news regarding some offensive linemen. Now, before we get further into today's show and take out the PFF grades for Julian Davenport and take a look at those, today's show is sponsored by GameTime. If you love summer baseball and want to catch a Braves game or any other major league team, you're going to want to give GameTime a shot. GameTime is an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on the GameTime app actually go down the closer it gets to the first pitch. One thing I really like about GameTime are their flash deals. Save even more with exclusive in-app deals on select seats ahead of the game or event. Plus, they offer the GameTime guarantee. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, GameTime will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download GameTime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Now, as I was trying to get out of my mouth earlier, the PFF grades for Julian Davenport, they're not wonderful. I mean, I don't know what you guys were maybe expecting for a signing like this on the start of training camp, but You can look at what he was able to do his last year in the NFL, 2021 with the Colts, an overall grade of 45.3, pass blocking grade of 28.8. He also had a pretty decent sample size, 278 snaps. The biggest sample size we have is 2018 when he was a true starter for the, I beg your pardon, Houston Texans. 809 snaps at left tackle, 205 at right tackle, and he was pretty middle of the road. You can kind of see just a lot of 50s across the board. For PFF grades, I like to add 10 to it, and that gives you an indication of like a school letter grade. So, unfortunately, we're talking about like a D- grade here. What I forgot to do and I meant to do was Julian Davenport's like Madden rating. Probably not very high. Maybe Trace can whip that up really quickly because I know that's how everyone loves to grade signings for players they've never heard of. So while Trace is looking up Julian Davenport's Madden grade or unavailable, not great. Not great. But this will definitely go down if Davenport makes the 53-man roster as an all-time random Falcon. He was a 72 last year. Okay, better than I thought. So with all that being said, though, name a random Falcons player. I don't want to see a single Matt Ryan, no Julio Joneses. The more random, the better. Let's see who can pull out. But there is an art to random, but also memorable and being like, I forgot about him. My go-to is always Jaquiz Rogers. And one time I said that on the show and someone commented, that's my cousin. And I don't know if he's being honest or if he's just pulling my leg. But yeah, name a random Falcon for me down below in the comment section. So at the end of the day, to kind of put a bow on Davenport, he's competing for a roster spot and more likely a spot on the practice squad. I really don't think he is a legit contender to make the 53-man roster. The Falcons are likely going to carry 10 offensive linemen. There are 5 starters and 2 tackles and the next 3 best interior offensive linemen. And I think Tyler Vrabel and Storm Norton have the big early lead for those backup offensive tackle spots because they filled in pretty well last year when called upon for Matthews and McGarry. But maybe an injury pops up and that changes things. At the end of the day, offensive tackle is a cornerstone piece, and you can never have too much depth at that spot. So I'm never going to be like bickering or disagreeing with low-level signings at offensive tackle, pass rusher, cornerback, wide receiver, or quarterback, but that one's kind of in its own tier. All right, our trivia question for today's show. Who led the Falcons in sacks in the 1990s? I asked this question because the original show for today was all about trading for Hassan Reddick. But now that's been postponed from Falcons Today to Falcons Tomorrow because we're talking about Julian Davenport. So pause the video if you want to think about it. Who led the Falcons in sacks in the 1990s? The answer is coming up in 3, 2, 1. That would be Chuck Smith. 58.5 sacks in that decade. Played for Atlanta from 1992 to 1999. So playing for most of the decade with the Falcons is surely going to help be the all-time sack leader for that decade. All right, that will do it for us on today's show. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Julian Davenport, welcome to ATL. Best of luck in training camp.